Occasion, I try to go for doctor, engineer, and more than that, we also, the first preference is to become service, IPS, IAS, IRS kind of thing. And today I learned that Swamiji was an IPS officer, and when his dad said more than IPS, if it was IAS we could have served better, then he chose this path. And God has given us such a wonderful gentleman, Swamiji, and Swamiji, we welcome you. I would request Vaidyanathanji to introduce Swamiji.
Okay.
May I welcome Swamiji to
That is very well written.
Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. Yes.
That halanta of the ka
Yes.
should be shifted to ma.
Ma. Okay.
That ka, like that line is there.
Ah.
That should come to ma.
Ma,
Kutu.
okay.
That is all you have to do.
Thank you.
That will be very nice. Yeah, I will take care. Please don't mind.
Okay.
Please don't mind. Please do not mind my swing. Yeah, you have to correct that. Yeah, that has to be sure.
It's on. Okay, okay. Sure, okay. Good evening. I've been given some generous amount of time to introduce Swamiji, so
Okay.
I'm hoping I will do justice. I have some details also to give, things that I have never would have spoken of earlier. Without giving some dates, I'm going to give some details too in today's introduction. So every time the last 3-4 years introducing Swamiji is falling upon my head, I always start with this line: I have to introduce someone in whose glory I am myself basking. So it's a kind of a paradoxical thing to do, but anyway, it is my great honor and it is a blessing that I am having to speak about him today. So Swamiji was born to one of the most illustrious scholar of Vedanta of his times. Most of the scholars of Advaita Vedanta you find in southern India today were all students of Swamiji's father. His name was, and he was given the title Advaita Siddhi Ratnakara. So Advaita Siddhi Ratnakara, Rani Narasimha Shastri Garu, and his mother, Swamiji says, I have learnt all the texts of Vedanta from my father, and I have learnt Vedanta from my mother. And that great lady was Rani Sītamma Garu. To those parents, he was born in Andhra Pradesh, and he had the blessed opportunity of learning various multidisciplinarily learning under some of the greats of his time. For example, Krishna Yajurveda he studied under Brahmashri Kompella Kameshwara Ghanapati Garu, who was a great authority on the Vedas himself, and that has so something that we don't often get to see Swamiji do in public is teach Vedic chanting. As a student of his who has learned that too under him, I have seen how even at this age his padapatha breaking, his krama breaking is so intact. When he would teach the Rudram, elaborate sentences, he would break with swara, which is not something that everybody can do unless you have learnt Veda in a perfect sense. So I remember once I gave him, I had to learn some mantras from him for which I didn't find swara. I just wrote down the text and gave him. He marked the swara and gave it to me. That is how his knowledge of swara is also still so intact. So that is about his study under Kompella Kameshwara Ghanapati Garu. Then he studied Vyakaranam and Sanskrit Kavyas under Kompella Subbaraya Shastri Garu, who was considered to be Abhinava Panini, a great authority on Panini's Ashtadhyayi. And he was also a President Award winner. Both his father and Subbaraya Shastri Garu were President Award winners for their contributions to Sanskrit. And Swamiji also parallelly had a secular, quote unquote, secular education. He did a BSc first in Andhra University. He had a BSc degree. Then he went on to do a master's also. And his majors was in chemistry. and that is how he ended up working for Indian Drugs and Pharmaceutical Limited, which is the forerunner for most of the pharma industries in and around Hyderabad, which are the leading pharma industries of the country too. So he had a very successful career in IDPL as a scientist. He also parallelly was studying Vedanta under his father. I once asked him, what is the first book you studied under your father? Something all of us have to learn. He said, the first book I studied was Shabdamanjari under his father as a child. And then, of course, I then asked him, what is the first Vedanta book you studied? He said, Gita Bhashyam is the first I studied under his father. So those were also going on parallelly along with his career as a scientist, his studies in the university and all that. And then eventually, while he was working, he ended up doing PhD in synthetic organic chemistry under another great professor who was awarded Padma Bhushan Dr. Sukhdeo, who incidentally just passed away last year in October at the age of 101. So he was a distinguished scholar in that field of synthetic organic chemistry. Swamiji's PhD thesis was titled Studies in Synthetic Organic Methods, and this is from Malti Chem Research Center in MS University Baroda, which was then and even now a top university for research in synthetic chemistry. And then Swamiji subsequently, as even his life in, I am giving all this introduction because there are a few people, many people who haven't seen or maybe heard of Swamiji earlier. Many of us must be knowing this already. He also had a second, he is not one to take praise easily, so it's very inconvenient for him to listen to all this, but for the sake of all of us I am putting all these out. He had a second PhD in Sanskrit, and not far from his scientific training, the second PhD was in Sanskrit, but the title is Studies in Krishna Yajurveda. This was under Professor Gopal Reddy Garu, if I am right, his PhD supervisor there, who was also in Usmania University, the Sanskrit department, did great contributions also. And his PhD thesis was suggested to be published as a book, which in his Purvashrama he did publish as a book called Science in Krishna Yajurveda, with very critical analysis of certain portions of Krishna Yajurveda, Sayana Bhashyam and all that. Two important chapters in this thesis was Krishna Yajurveda and Solar Sciences, Krishna Yajurveda and Ethnopharmacology, not far from his scientific career itself. And he also takes great personal interest in English literature and world history, notably World War II history. People who have heard him know that he can quote battles in the war, battle generals, dates and those strategies all accurately from memory. It is something amazing, and with so much ease he also quotes great literary works in English also, like example Shakespeare, Wordsworth and all that we often hear from him. So he also had the blessed opportunity to meet Pujya Swami Dayananda Saraswati Ji, under whom he eventually quit his job and took sannyasa under him. So Pujya Swami Dayananda Saraswati Ji, whom we call as Pujya Swami Ji, was the founder of Arsha Vidya Gurukulam with three main centers, one here in Saylorsburg, Pennsylvania, and two in India, one in Rishikesh and the other in Coimbatore. So Swamiji is also currently the vice president of Arsha Vidya Gurukulam in Saylorsburg, and he has about more than 100 books, I suppose, to his credit, and some of them have been really highly acclaimed, of which in my as far as my knowledge goes, he is the only author who has translated all the 10 Upanishad Bhashyams of Shankara into English, and who has also done Gita Bhashyam translation and Chatussutri Bhashyam translation of Brahma Sutras. And I once again take this opportunity to fervently pray to him that he does the remaining portion of Shankara Bhashyam of Brahma Sutras too. Let us hope. And then some of his lesser known books, like he has, every time he critiques Puranas, criticizes I would like to say, but critiques Puranas, it's coming from great authority. He has also translated Srimad Bhagavatam into Telugu, Shiva Puranam also into Telugu. So you know when he critiques something, it's coming from great authority. And some of his English books, Saddarshanam, which is relatively recent, but is considered, I personally consider it as his magnum opus. It runs into about 700 pages. And then finally there are a pack of 3 books which I call the Essential Swami TV pack of 3 books. One is The Vision of Karma Yoga, then inner growth through devotion, which is Bhakti Yoga, and Advaita Makaranda, which is Jnana. These three I consider the essential Swami TV pack. And then there are, recently he is bringing out a lot of small booklets for our recent times where the attention span is too short. He has small booklets coming out now, some of which we have there for you to pick up. And one of those booklets is Shrī Rāma Jayaṃ, which we are going to talk about. He has them separately in English and Telugu. And Swamiji's love for Srimad Ramayanam of Valmiki. Ramayanam means Ramayanam of Valmiki only. So Ramayanam of Valmiki is seen all through in his classes whenever he speaks, and it is that love, notably for Sundarakanda, I suppose, which he often talks about, that has fructified into the small booklet called Shrī Rāma Jayaṃ. So while I conclude, I have a few lines to read, which I often say about Swamiji. I thought it's better I just read them as it is. It is difficult to speak about Swamiji because his trademark is his simplicity. He is so simple in his living and dealings that any description of it fails to capture its spirit. Two traits of his that one gets to see when we observe him from close quarters is that everybody who comes in contact with him feels like this person considers me the closest of all people, and everyone, even if you have a brief interaction with him, goes back with that feeling. But if you look a little more deeper, you would see that actually he is in the state of samōhaṃ sarvabhūteshu name dveshyosti na priyaha. Equal love towards all people means equal disinterest towards all people also, or equal disinterest towards all people means equal love towards all people also. That is the state in which Swamiji is. So I often say I have never met any other person who is as highly learned and yet as humble, approachable and completely dispassionate as him, and that is Swami TV for you. I have a lot more to say, but I will quit because he is punctual in his dealings and it is 5:59. Over to Swamiji. Thank you.
We thought of a meditation for a few minutes. Then is there a way to shut off the lights if possible? Guided meditation.
I am turned off.
Pause. Good. That is nice. Sit upright. Stretch the backbone up as well as you can. That is how you sit upright. At the same time, keep the hands and the shoulders relaxed. Keep the eyes partially closed. Don't press the eyelids down. Keep a smile on the lips. Now, if you notice, if you look at yourself, you can see that you are already in meditation, because the body is upright, alert, and the mind is naturally quiet, without any force or control from your side. By itself, the mind is quiet. You chant. First listen before you start. You chant the sacred name of Shrī Rāma, not Shrī Rāma. It is an address, so it is Shrī Rāma. In the heart, not in the head. You would do it mentally, not verbally here. Maybe at home you may do verbally in a whispering tone, not loudly. Loudly will not be meditation, it will be some other discipline. Therefore, either whispering tones at home, but at present you will chant the sacred name Shrī Rāma in the heart. But then you should understand the chant well. Shrī Rāma is an address. O Rama, that is what the address is. You are addressing the Lord, Rama. Rama in your heart. In meditation, Rama is in your heart. In other words, it is Atma Rama. That is the Rama you are addressing as Shrī Rāma. Now you may start the chant with adequate space between two successive chants. I chant loud, you chant mentally in the heart, not in the head. Now, Shrī Rāma, Shrī Rāma, Shrī Rāma. You continue, no need to count. Every single time you chant with the freshness of the present moment, as though it is the very first time that you are chanting. Shrī Rāma, Shrī Rāma, Shrī Rāma. The word Rama means the ananda, the bliss in the heart. That is the meaning of the word Rama. Shri is the beauty, not physical, the spiritual beauty. That is Shri. The spiritual beauty associated with the ananda in the heart is the God. That is the Lord Rama in the heart. And we are chanting that sacred name. That is the meaning. You should chant verbally or mentally Shrī Rāma, Shrī Rāma, Shrī Rāma. You should know the meaning also at the same time as just now I have described. Shrī Rāma, Shrī Rāma, Shrī Rāma. And you should feel the love for the Lord Rama in the heart. Shrī Rāma, Shrī Rāma, Shrī Rāma. It is not my chant. It is the pure chant without any association with me and mine. Only chant is there. No person. The person surrenders to the sacred name. Shrī Rāma, Shrī Rāma, Shrī Rāma. You chant last 3 times. Shrī Rāma, Shrī Rāma, Shrī Rāma. And I'm very happy about Sri Vaidyanathan introducing and bringing some nostalgic memories to my mind. Generally, there is a thing called psychological death to the past. There is such a thing which I discuss in the Vedanta class. So it may sound a bit odd to some of you, but there is such a thing. And therefore, the past is in some corner of the brain cells. Whereas my friend Vaidyanathan brought out some of those things, nostalgic memories. Today's topic is called Vijaya Mantra. That is the topic. 4 verses. It is mantra means the secret. That is the meaning of mantra. Mantra need not be some unknown esoteric set of words. Need not be like that. Mantra. So, Gupta Paribhashana, that is the meaning of the word mantra. Something secret. The secret of success. Vijaya is success. The secret of success in life. You see, we go to colleges and universities, earn degrees, and then get good opportunities to come to this land of opportunity, practice a profession, make a lot of money. That doesn't make us successful in life automatically. Sometimes after all of this, people find themselves in sorrow, anxiety, insecurity, etc. And you have to find a way to come out which people live from mind goes on. Of the So he is the one who made the association of the highest kind, the greatest of people. That is